Antebellum is directed by Gerald Bush and Christopher Renz, and is about the successful author named Veronica Henley who, after a shocking turn of events, is forced into this horrifying reality that forces her to confront her past. Now, this room is extremely hot. There's no aircon, so we're just going to power through this and get this review done. Now, today was a very interesting day because not only did this movie take me on a roller coaster, not an extreme roller coaster, but at least a roller coaster of some sorts. Something interesting happened, like in the first 10 minutes, while it was kind of intense, you might say. The lights, like normally the lights in the cinemas, they turn off when the movie starts. The lights suddenly, weirdly and strangely turned on. And that was kind of like, what the fuck? What was that? Like, that kind of shocked me for a moment. But I mean, all I had to do was call the guys from my phone in the theater because I didn't want to miss anything and to tell them that there was a problem in the cinema. So, yeah, but that was interesting. Throughout all my years watching movies, that has never happened before. But that's besides the point. Now, Antebellum is a movie that I've been wanting to see since September, when it first came out, I'm pretty sure. But the problem is, where I live, movie theaters were closed, and they've been closed for quite a while. I mean, if you haven't seen my Tenet movie review, I explained everything there, but basically, movie theaters have just begun to open again. I think they opened like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And Antebellum, well, it made its way to cinemas today, to my cinemas today. And yeah, I've been wanting to see it because the trailer really piqued my interest. It felt like it looked like it was going to be like a body swapping thing, something about slavery, which I've always been interested in. And but honestly, that was not the case at all. And the movie was kind of confusing, and it also got mixed reviews online. But I'll get to all that in a second. Don't worry. Now, I thought this movie was directed by Jordan Peele. When this movie got announced, people were saying it was Jordan Peele's next film, but it actually wasn't. The film's like, it's from the producers of Get Out and Us, which Get Out is one of my favorite films of all time, and I really liked Us as well. Not as much as Get Out, but yeah, that's besides the point. Which is unfortunate because you could tell what this movie was missing. Now, I have some very mixed feelings about this movie. I saw some of the movies, like the reviews online prior, and a lot of people disliked it. Very few liked it. I neither liked it or disliked it, but I didn't hate it. I mean, hate is a rather strong word. I'd say it was interesting nonetheless, and it was a lot less ambiguous. So basically, the whole theme of this movie is about race and slavery, which is quite similar to Get Out, but unlike Get Out, the theme in this movie, it's more literal. It's less ambiguous, like I said, which I'm not going to go too into it because then it would count as spoilers. But yeah, like some people might like this movie, a lot of people might not like it. Now, I don't quite mind the theme. I've always been interested in slavery and that sort of thing because it always interested me, like history always interested me and why they did that to those people. But in this movie, they did show some of that, but it wasn't as brutal as I would have liked it to be. It wasn't as horrific as I thought it would be. Like, I expected it to be much more brutal. And it really didn't feel like a horror movie at all. Like, I would describe it as, okay, there are certain acts to this movie. Like, the first and the third act, it felt like it was very kind of grueling. You saw these slaves at work slaving away, and these rich white people, just celebrating and using them. And it was kind of hard to watch in a way. Not as brutal as I would have liked it to be, though, so it wasn't that hard to watch. But then it turned into Sex and the City. there were like two different stages. Well, I guess three arcs, and but two different themes to this movie, and it just felt like a disconnect between these two worlds. Like one side, you've got slavery, like sadness, stuff like that, and then you've got Sex in the City and relationships and partying and that, and it just felt like weird seeing the transition, and it was very confusing. I won't get into it too much, like I said, I want to avoid spoilers as much as I can, even though I want to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it was mostly confusing. The first act, after watching the second and the third act, the first act felt unnecessary. That's all I'm gonna say. This is one of those movies that you don't really have to watch multiple times to understand, because they quite blatantly tell you everything towards the end. They kind of show you, and once they do, the movie feels a lot smaller than you originally had anticipated. Kind of like Us. I think I mentioned that in my Us movie review. But yeah, that kind of shocked me. I'm not gonna say what shocked me, but it shocked me towards the end. Like, I didn't really expect that. I don't know. I'm always liking stuff, like not expecting stuff, and I fully did not expect the conclusion of this movie. So I actually like stood up and clapped a little bit, like out of disbelief in a way, because one, nobody was in the theater. I was the only one. And two, yeah, it really surprised me. And yeah, even though it isn't as ambiguous, this movie still forces you to ask a lot of questions during the course of the movie. And thankfully, they do make sense. It's not as confusing as a lot of people say, at least from what I think. There are still some plot holes and stuff that doesn't make any sense. But then, like I had a lot of questions, but most of them, if not all of them, were like answered towards the final act of the movie. I also have to say that the acting was on point. I mean, I enjoyed the acting, mostly from the like the slavery side of the movie. I thought, the bad guys or whatever, the ones treating the slaves, really made me hate their guts and stuff. And like some characters, that there was a lack of character development, and some characters were made to be there but didn't really serve much purpose, and we didn't really find out what happened to them in the end. Or the ending was a bit short, like really short. Okay, overall, this is not the best film, obviously, by a long shot, but I don't think this is the worst film to watch. Like I said, the plot, once you understand everything, once everything unravels itself, kind of like Us, it's a lot smaller than you thought it would be. And there's not really that many horror elements, and it wasn't that brutal. Like, I wish it was more. And I have a feeling that most people will be mostly disappointed by this, because I feel like the twist caters to very specific people, and you either might like it in a way, or you might hate it. But for me, I neither liked it, I neither hated it. So I'm in the between. That's why I said that I have mixed feelings about this movie. I'm going to give Antebellum a C+. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the movie in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, and drop a sub to support the channel. And as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time.